Street Beach, and this is actually just a Unity asset from the Unity asset store, but I did spend a lot of time trying to optimize it because of how big this entire scene is, as well as like a lot of details as well. So that's why, as you can see, one thing you will probably notice right away is I've applied curling for the trees, because as Myro P mentioned in his presentation, trees actually it does create a lot of draw calls. So for example, like all these leaves here, these are unfortunately using a cutout shader in order to get like this actual like leaves look to it, and also they do move a little bit, so it's like wind blowing. But yeah, these are very inefficient, and especially in mobile, if you're using quests, yeah, they do tend to take up a lot of performance. So that's why, as you can see, I have used the LOD feature to curl them quite early. So if you go onto a tree, and as you can see here, we have the LOD group, and I only have two LODs basically. One is just the tree, and then at around 50%, it's already getting curled. So there are also other things such as like some smaller objects. Let's see, I think in here, yeah, let's say like these. Okay, yeah, I actually didn't even use LLDs on these certain stuff I do. Yeah, because the thing is, you also want to find the balance on between having LLDs or just having like a medium complex geometry. So for example, like these things here, if I remember correctly, yeah, so it's actually right here. So they have like 7,000 triangles, which are not too bad for a few things here. But also there's some stuff which I have taken the halfway point of the LOD. So like, as you can see, these things here, if I'm using LOD 0, they're like very smooth, but then of course it has a lot more triangles to them. So I basically just deleted the highest one and keep the middle one. And how do you create the LODs? And you may ask. So if you purchased or download a asset from the Unity asset store, most of the chances, if it was designed for game use, it would probably have LODs created for you already, because most of the assets creators do that. If not, you could either manually create them in Blender. You could like decimate them to how you want the LOD one to look, and then export that into a second mesh, or even in the same exported file, and you could just assign the LODs afterwards. So let's use like this tree here. Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna create a new scene, so then I'm messing up my project. Okay, so yeah, so basically the LODs on these trees, as you can see here, there's a mesh which is right here, and you could double click it in order to see the actual mesh. Yeah, so you could click here, and as you can see, every single of these trees has multiple meshes in them. So it's so this is the lowest LOD, And as you can see, this gets a little bit more complex, and you could see the stats over here as well. Yeah, so as you can see, this is the highest LOD. It's about 800 triangles plus 300 triangles for just this one tree. That's a lot. That's like 1,200 or 1,100 for just a tree. And this is LOD 1, the LOD 0, and the LOD 1, and it's already less, 600, 700, and then the last LOD is 18 plus 250, so only about 300, well, less than 300 triangles. And the one I'm using right now is the LOD 1, so it's the middle one, so I'm not even using the highest resolution one here. Let's say if I'm gonna duplicate this tree here. So now I have this brand new tree, and how this LOD thing works is you could basically add a LOD group just like so, which it'll basically bring up this interface, what was you looking at right now, and you could set different LOD. So if I'm, yeah, oh, okay, so I'm actually doing like this. So I have LOD 0, which is right here, and I would put the LOD 0 mesh in there if it works out. So I got the LOD 0 mesh, and then LOD 1 there. Then I can add another LOD if I want. Oops, that out here. Okay, yeah. So here, right click, insert before. So now I have LOD 2. Could add the mesh to it. This one. Yeah, so as you can see now we have LOD 0, LOD 1, LOD 2, and then curl. That means just completely disappear. So now when we look at this tree here, if we go all the way, oh, and also there's an imposter. Oh, sorry, and oh, I see, I see. Okay, yeah, that's one thing I forgot to do. You need to actually have the LODs within this object as well. So I am missing something. So I need to actually, you know what? I'll just drag this entire brand new tree. That would be a better option to demonstrate this. Delete this one. Okay, so yeah, so this one has all the LODs within itself. So as you can see, it's already a prefab. And once I drag it in, it has all these already. So as you can see, this is the most detail. And then I go to 1, slightly less detail. And then second, it's a very decimated one. And now, if I click on here, you could see the percentage. So I can drag this to see when it changes. And you could always adjust the LOD. So I wanted to show the less polygon, less triangle ones faster. Then I can just drag them like so, 80, and then I can just scroll them. So now I can just click on this camera here to see, okay, so this is 0, which is the highest quality. Also, like when you're like really up close. And then once you're this far away, it goes to this less res one, and then further out it changes. And then here's curled completely, so it's completely gone. And you could also test it like just in the editor itself. just go up close, and then you could slowly go out, and you will see it changes. Yeah, it's kind of hard to see because we're getting far from it, but yeah. So that's the basics of LODs. Does anyone have any questions regarding to them? If you do, feel free to just walk down here, and I'll megaphone you. All right. If not, we will continue. So, and as I mentioned, if you're using your own models, then you probably have to create your LODs yourself using Blender. You could decimate. Or I was looking up some tools. There are some Unity assets that you can use for automated LODs, such as like this one, Auto LOD. So basically, you could just assign the objects for it, and then it'll automatically decimate them and even create the LODs component for you, so you don't have to do it manually. And then so MyroP also mentioned there is a thing called imposters, which is basically a special shader that reduces the triangle count of your objects to like basically 1, or well 2 technically, and I did actually use that on some of these, but I didn't ended up using them. So if you look at some of these trees here, so I do actually have an imposter as well, but yeah, so if you can see, if I have an imposter like this close, it just looks like shit. It looks very ugly. But the thing is, you're only supposed to be able to use them as something far away. So as you can see now, when I'm this far, it doesn't look that bad after all. So for stuff that are further out, like if you have like mountains and whatnot, you could use an imposter as one of the LODs. So then you definitely reduce the draw calls and whatnot. One thing I want to show you guys is this map here is a optimized one. Let me just undo everything, so then you know what. Guard. And I'll just want. Oh, it's my thing crashed again. Yep.
Yeah, stream's offline.
Computer doesn't like it when I try to use Unity and screencast at the same time. Okay. So one quick way for you to see how performance your world is gonna be before you even upload it to Banter is by going into the play mode. So you could just click that play button at the top. Okay. And as you can see now, when I'm like looking around, the most important thing you want to look at is batches. It's also known as draw call. So as you can see, it's like 250, 200, which is actually not too bad at all for a world this in this scale, and that's because, like I said, I've done a lot of optimization in this world. And in comparison, I'll show you guys the original. And before we go into that, what I've done, and as you can see, if I click in an object here, and as you can see, I've actually combined the some of the meshes into one to reduce the numbers of game objects in the scene. And that's one of the way for me to reduce the draw call. And like some of these smaller props, as you can see, they're all like scattered all over the map. But by combining them, that has actually helped improve performance. And it really depends on what objects you're working with, because you kind of have to find the balance of either merging your objects into one, or you want to, some of objects you might want to just keep them separate, so you could use occlusion curling to curl them. So you kind of have to find the balance of, okay, is it better if I keep everything into one like this? Because what happens is, if I have occlusion curling on this whole thing here, it's never gonna get curled because you're still seeing it no matter like which way you're looking at. Maybe if I'm looking this way, then it would curl because it's one object. But if I'm just like looking here, this thing is always gonna be here because they are one object. But by combining them, it would also help reduce draw call. So just find the balance. And let's see. So yeah, so if I go to an earlier scene before I combine the stuff, because I like to always save backups of my scene. So as you can see, I have a lot of different backups. Yeah, the bait leg is messed up in here, but that's okay. The difference is, if I'm actually looking at this right here now, all these objects are separate, and then like all this little bike thing, okay, this is one thing, but like all these bikes are separate. But in my other scene, I've combined them. So just as a proof, we go into play mode, and let's see what we're getting for draw calls. All right, so as you may already see right away, batches 2,500. Yeah, 1,000 something over here, 2,000 something. So it's definitely like 10 times more efficient, more performance in my later version, because I have combined all the meshes. Well, and also, of course, all these trees. As you can see now, like I can see everything. Nothing is getting curled. So if I put this like in Banter just as is, and go on a like Quest 2 headset, you will be lagging like no tomorrow. So this is why some of these optimization techniques would be useful. Yeah, and now let's look at occlusion curling. So we'll go back to this other one here. Okay, yeah, way less tree. So yeah, so occlusion curling is very simple to set up. I always have this tab here, but how you get to it is go to Window, and then under Rendering, Occlusion Curling, and then it'll open this. So what this does is you could set occluder and occlude. So occluder is basically the things that are gonna be occluding the other objects. So for example, if I set this as an occluder, and I have, let's say this pylon is by itself, which is an occlude. So what happens is, when I am behind this object here, that little pylon should not be seen for me anymore from this place. So what the game would do is curl it, so you won't see it anymore. It's not gonna get rendered, and that's how you get less draw calls. So yeah, so how I remember, you could remember train E and trainer. So ner is the one that trains someone, or the one that is above, if you put it that way. So the occluder is the one that is bigger, occluding the occludee, if that makes sense. So usually what I do is I just select everything and make them occludee static and occluder static by default, because it's gonna be a lot of pain to pick every single thing one by one. But in some situation where you might be like walking into this and you're like hugging the wall and whatnot and stuff starting disappearing, you might get an effect like that. So just play around with the settings in order to get a better curling. Yeah, so as you can see here, all these things, I just have everything on, and same thing with the building. I just have, occluder, occludee, both on. And you could also visualize them by using a camera that is in your scene. So let's see if I kept one here. Okay, so I have a main camera here. Go it. Yeah, so this camera here, I can basically use this as a test to see what is getting curled. So when I go, so what you do is after you set your occluder using the little check mark in the inspector, and what you want to do is go to the occlusion tab, and then all you have to do is click the bake button, and it will have a occlusion data, bake data here. It's only 1 megabyte, so it's not even like that big. Sometimes it's gonna be even less. So now after I baked it, I just go to the camera. I can select the camera, and now we can use this camera as a kind of visual to see what actually gets curled. So imagine I got spawned into this world. This is my view, and as you can see, if I go back out, most of the things that are behind the cameras don't get rendered anymore. And as you can see, all those buildings are not getting rendered, and only the side that I'm looking at getting rendered. And if I just rotate this camera here, and as you can see, some trees started popping out, some buildings at the back starting popping out. So that's how you know your occlusion curling is working properly. So just use a camera and move it around, test it. And as you can see, if I'm looking this way in the streets, yeah, all those are not getting rendered. And then let's say go like this, I walk forward. As I walk forward, some stuff are getting curled. That's how you know it's working. So that's occlusion curling. Does anyone have any questions about this? If you do, just walk up here and I will megaphone you. Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's see what else we have. Let's see. Presentation. Yeah, let's see what we have so far. Yeah, and I really like how he demonstrated let's say you have how many of these? Like 1 million or whatever he said. Yeah, like 1 million quads. If they were separate meshes, you are getting like really low frame rate. But even though you're having the same amount of triangles, but he combined them into one mesh, one object, it improved the frame rate like significantly. So I really like that demo he showed there. Okay, draw calls. Yeah, so batching is also a good way. And reducing material counts. So that's also very important. Because the more material it is, the more draw calls. So a good way of managing materials, especially if you're creating your own like models and whatnot in Blender or maybe even PoBuilder, is to make atlas of your textures. So like for example, like these things, these little props here. See if there's a one I can click on. Yeah, like let's say these little pylons here. If you look at it, look at the
I think
material.
your screen's frozen.
Just right here, we
Just
can look
seeing
at the
your browser.
texture. Everything is combined. Sorry, Pony, were you saying something?
Your screen's frozen again. We're just seeing your browser. Well, I
Oh,
am.
it's frozen? Oh, okay, yes. Yes, it is frozen. One moment. We'll be back. All right. So yeah, so for example, when we're looking at this little pylon thing here, and we look at the material, I've actually, the asset itself already created the atlas maps. So actually, still, yeah, it's a TGA file, but as you can see here, there's basically a bunch of different stuff that are within this one texture. So imagine if each of these objects has its own material, like let's say this sign itself has its own material, that's gonna be very inefficient. So that's why if you could combine your materials and combine your textures into an atlas, it would be much better. So yeah, let's see if I go like this. I can right click here and then find references in scene. Yeah, so as you can see, everything that colored right now is using the same material. So yeah, so that's one method of being more efficient, is using less materials. Yeah, light baking is also one way. If you're using real-time lights, it's always gonna be less efficient than bake lights. So always bake your lights either using the Unity built-in light baking system, or you could use Bakery, which I do highly recommend. Yeah, GPU instancing, that's also a good way. And that's just a little check mark usually within your material. So in what situation you would use GPU instancing is when, let's say, we have the objects using same materials. So just like that little pylon we were looking at earlier, it has the same materials as like the road and the bikes, stuff like that. And I do remember turning that. Oh no, actually I did not turn that on. So I could actually enable GPU instancing. And then I think if I do that, I need to make sure that I'm not using batching static. So I need to turn batching static off and have GPU instancing on. Then in that case, it would also help improve the performance of your stuff if a lot of them are using the same material. Yeah, and this is a good um, comparison between he was using basically static batching or GPU instancing, and as you can see, GPU instancing, he is getting only 7 batches for the draw call, but then in static batching, he was getting 23 batches. But as you can see, the frame rate actually is interesting because you're actually getting a little bit less frame rates on GPU instancing. So I guess, yeah, you just have to find the balance of everything to find the best optimization. Optimization is not easy. It's actually a very deep learning curve to it, but it is very important. Okay, yeah. So now he in this slide here, he's demonstrating that with higher poly counts. So all the mesh has higher poly counts, and it does actually help. No, it's actually not. It's still seeing GPU instancing 7 batches, but then he's getting. Oh yeah, he's getting better frame rate. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so in higher polygon counts meshes, he used GPU instancing. He's getting 500 frames, only 7 batches, but the same high poly objects, he if he's using static batching, he's getting, of course, higher draw call and then lower frame rate. So it's actually it does help using GPU instancing instead of static batching. Okay, what else? And also in the presentation, he did mention about your scripts. In particularly, it was Udon that you use in VR chat, but we use visual scripts in Banter. But same logic applies if you're trying to run your script every frame, every second. Of course, it's gonna take some of the performance. So let's say if your script doesn't need to be running every single frame, then make your script only runs like on updates or on a command such as a button click, stuff like that. Then it would also help reducing the powers that it needs to run your world. So scripting is also important for you to decide if you want to run everything on a loop, which means like every frame, or just run it thing on, let's say, on start or on a click. Okay, dynamic batching, curling. Yeah, and menu curling, that's also one way. Actually, a good example is right where you're sitting right now in this theater, in the cinema. I do actually use menu curling in the building itself. So I've made a trigger. I think, yeah, I make a big trigger for the entire area. So let's say if you're in the lobby, it actually disables the entire theater area. And then same thing, once you walked into the theater, into the big trigger that is here, it disables the lobby area. So that's menu curling. You just have to use the scripts to do that. On player trigger enter or exit. The overdraw stuff I didn't quite understand fully yet, but yeah, he did go really in depth with it. But one thing he did mention is about the render queue. So, for example, most of the regular, like opaque material that you use would be render queued 2000. And then most of the stuff, if you have like a transparency, stuff like windows, stuff like that. I think I do have windows in here. Oh, actually, yeah, I did remove all the windows because, yeah, for performance. But yeah, there were some windows, glass. And render queue is usually 3000 for those, but yeah, these are not see-through windows, so. Oh, actually 2500 up. It's transparency. Yeah, so let's see. Yeah, so LODs, which we have already touched on. And I mean, if you do really want to go really in depth with optimizing with your mesh, as you can see here, the way that he did different methods of creating the triangles also makes a difference. Posters. Yeah, oh yeah, and then also in the camera, you could also set the clipping plane. So I can quickly show that here in Banter, we could use either the driver scripts or this little script graph here to decide on the clipping plane. So right now I'm just using the defaults, which is 0.02 and 900. And let's say if you have an even bigger map, you could increase that, or you could decrease that if you don't want stuff to be seen too far away. So one quick way we could test it out is using the Banter starter upper, because actually whatever I set here don't actually affect it in play mode. So I have to manually adjust the camera. I'll show it to you real quick. Yeah, so even though right now I have my clipping plane set to 900, but it might not actually necessarily be 900. So we could tell it's by going into the hierarchy in the play mode, find your Banter starter upper, and I think where's the camera? Oh, it doesn't actually have a camera, does it? Oh, head. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this head here is basically our camera. Okay, so here the far is set to 1000 by default. But this, if you change the value in here, it's not gonna do anything in game because this is just a tool in your editor to help you like move around and stuff. So this is not actually gonna be in the game. So whatever you change here is not gonna affect it. But if you change it from the script graph or your JavaScript, then this is the proper way of changing it. But in order to actually see what it's gonna look like, I can just go like 900. And as you can see, it's not much of a difference compared to 1000. But let's say if I go to like 500, and as you can see, there's stuff that I believe this is meters, 500 meters away would get clipped. And if I try to go that way, then as soon as I'm getting closer, to those boats at the end, you could see it started slowly coming back out. Same thing with the other one over there. It's basically like a sphere around your camera. So that's the clipping plane. Use that as your advantage to optimize. Yeah, and that was really cool how he showed that VAT Baker thing to like bake an animation into a texture, and then you could like play that animation in like, I don't know, 100 avatars at the same time, and it's still gonna be performance. That's actually very cool. So VAT Baker, it should probably work in Banter as well. I'm not sure. But if it worked in VL Chat, well, because this is not made for VL Chat, and it worked in VL Chat, I'm guessing, it should also work in Banter. Be pretty cool. Yeah, and he has so much more other techniques in optimization. So definitely check out the Fro presentation. Yeah, and then here he's showing there are some special shader where you could put on, let's say if you have an apartment building or whatnot, you could actually make those windows using the special shader. So it's kind of faking that there's a depth and 3D, but it's actually just a material shader. Okay, well, I think we've touched on pretty much most of the main optimization methods. Does anyone have anything that you'd like to share or any questions? Free to come on up. Or if there's anything that you guys would like to, because we only have about 8 minutes left in this event, so so next week, if there's any particular things you guys want to see next week, do let me know. Now's your chance. Tony mentioned we could create a working gun. Is that something that you guys would be interested in?
It's got to be worth trying. It would definitely open up some avenues for building loads of spaces and getting the player base to increase if they get them games to play. So it's got to be doable.
Yeah,
it is doable. I just don't know how.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll try to use AI as much as possible for stuff like that because it's sometimes, of course, out of my knowledge too. So let's try that next week. We'll create a shooting game using AI to create some scripts for us. Yeah, because I know Eileen has created somewhat working guns, like you could hold them and shoot the bullets, but it does not have anything like hitbox or anything like that for second person, and that's what we need for an actual functioning game. So yeah, so maybe next week we'll start on a new project of creating like a gun game, and yeah. And I've actually also been looking at Rec Room stuff because, well, most of you probably already heard the news about the Rec Room shutdown in June. And I was looking at their scripting stuff. It's actually very similar to Unity visual scripting. It's not exactly the same because they have a lot of proprietary stuff, but like their thing is called Circuit. So it's basically like connecting nodes to lines, and so it looks exactly like Unity visual scripting. But for anyone that would like to bring their games into Banter, they would pretty much have to rebuild their scripts from scratch, I guess, in a way. Could probably still model after their circuit graph from Rec Room. But I don't know. Does anyone build stuff in Rec Room in here?
No, not really. I've not even really looked at it.
I never got into scripting. Yeah,
No.
I never got into the scripting.
And I've been trying to, because I never use Rec Room, so I just like went in and opened up a bunch of templates for the creators, and I was able to like get them into Unity using their Rec Room Studio. But I have not get to the point where I could keep all the geometry, because they use like a proprietary system, so all their objects from the template are called maker pen objects, and I've been trying to create a script to convert all those maker pen objects into regular Unity game objects. I was able to basically convert them into like geometries with colliders and everything, but it's still missing textures. So that's so I'm still trying to create the script that would also get the textures out properly, but we'll see. That would, yeah, if I'm able to make that script, I'll share it with everyone in case anyone from Rec Room wanna
Isn't there a
export this stuff out. Yeah. So
similar problem is tilt brush? Taking tilt brush and bringing it in. That one is about the same problem. The materials are the problem, I think, but the objects are similarly a proprietary object, aren't they? In tilt brush.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because I mean, you create all those things in runtime in game, and then you're just exporting the meshes out as an FBX. So yeah, the material might not attached properly, but yeah. Next week, let's look at creating a game that a gun shooting game that actually functional. Let's start that. That sounds good.
Yep, sounds like a
Okay.
plan.
Awesome. Well, that concludes today's session. I hope you guys are able to take some stuff home, learn some stuff about optimization. But yeah, so far I would say this is one of the best presentation I've come across by MyroP. So make sure you check it out again. You could review it. Just basic of optimizing VR chat worlds under Variety channel.
Yeah, their events are expensive to go to.
I remember, well, because Captain Ren, I thought he told me it's like $20 or something for the whole week, isn't it?
Some of them. Some of them
Oh,
go a lot more than that.
Oh yeah, I know they have like different tiers and stuff like that. I wonder if apply store registered. Oh, they already have it out. Cool. So early bird, $25. Yeah. I mean that's not too bad. I'm not a furry whatsoever,
Yeah.
but I have heard a lot of cool things about this event. So
The weird
So I
thing
might
is,
actually
it's always
check
the
it out.
game changer that sells out first.
what sells that what?
The game changer. That is the one that always sells out when days have been released.
Oh, game changer. That
Just
one.
scroll down a bit. That one sells out so quickly.
But like, what do you get for $1,200?
I don't know. I'm not paying it, so I don't ever looked.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit much. Like if you're going to virtual events and you're paying $1,000 for, I mean, that's a bit crazy, I think. Because you could go
It says
to
there at the
like
bottom, full weekend.
Yes, it's
a weekend.
You have to click on that pop down.
Oh, here,
Right.
comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Yeah, so okay, so you're getting multiple passes. Okay, so you have like 4 passes for friends.
still not worth it.
And how many do they even have for this one?
I know the
Yeah.
other year they had about 300 of them, and they literally sold out. I mean, why? Why do people
Like
pay so much?
300 of the game
Yeah.
changer?
Yeah, just think how much money they made out of that.
Are you kidding me? Wow.
No, and it sells out. They make big money off of this.
It's crazy.
Well, maybe Pony, you could start a furry convention in Banter.
Yeah, they pay me that for definite. We need better physics for get them people in here. Yeah, better avatar physics.
Well, Jiggle physics.
They like,
and I'll change
yes, they like all them physics. Yeah. Well, is he still working on it? We're not heard out for a while. Granted,
They like the jiggle physics.
they're very busy.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind paying $25 just to go check it out. It's June. Okay. You know,
Definitely recommend PC only.
not sponsored,
The frames in-
but yeah, if anyone's interested. Okay, well, that concludes our events today. Thanks so much for joining, everybody. And as always, there are more events coming up tomorrow. I know Designer Girls doing Campfire Mingle and Chill, the center stage, and also
Yeah,
Lean
please
on
show up for
Me's
that. She's trying to find the best time for it.
We have the VL Late Show coming later today, and